Thank you again for being here today. My name is Jason Tranel, and I'm the Director of Product at ReCharge. And I'm super excited for ChargeX. And the topic today is Subscriptions 101, 10 tips to run a successful subscription business. And this is one of my absolute top favorite topics to discuss with merchants, with all of you. It's the basics and it's the foundational elements to running a successful subscription business. And these foundational concepts, the basics can and should be applied to merchants just starting out. So, you're just trying to figure out first subscription that you're going to be shipping out, you're in your first month, all the way to merchants that, have millions of subscribers. These still apply day in and day out. And the goal of this talk is really to empower you with actionable tips, no matter the size of your business. So one person, 100 people, 200 people, no matter the product as well. So whether you're a membership based or you're a consumable or, you're curated boxes, and then also the stage of your company. For this format, the 10 tips is, I love presenting this format for a few reasons. It presents a lot of information in an easy format for our brains to digest. It allows us to focus our energy on the absolute core concepts. And then if you want to learn more, you can easily jump, start Googling. Google is a fantastic resource and dive more into those specific topics. And it's also a little bit easier to remember, consuming a lot of information all in ChargeX, and we want to keep it into consumable bite-sized chunks so that you guys can implement these in best practices later on. So please ask any questions throughout the session. I might stop occasionally to take a peek if there's any relevant questions, but I've also saved some time at the end for Q&A. So let's jump in. The first tip, experience the customer's journey. Put yourself in the customer's shoes. Think like a customer. Put yourself in the third-party perspective. You're no longer you. Put yourself in a customer's perspective. And you have different customers at different stages. One that maybe knows your brand, one that doesn't, and they just stumbled upon you. And so kind of take those different approaches and walk through that. So the first stage is awareness. So how does a customer find you? Kind of go through that journey. So do they find you through a different website, through a blog? Do they find you through a social media post? And then they land on your page. Are they landing on your storefront? Are they landing on your product page? Are they landing on a blog post that they navigate? Walk through that journey and go through those steps. And then once they're on that product page, they're starting to consider your product. And so walk through that. They're selecting your product. They're selecting the subscription. They're learning about your subscription, probably on the product page. How do they know how much they should get to product-wise, if that's relevant to your business? Do they take a quiz? Do they read FAQs? Do they read your FAQs? Walk through that and experience your customer's journey. Put yourself in their shoes. You have to think that maybe most of your customers don't know you, so they're landing on that product page for the first time. And, select that product, physically go through that, experience that journey, click that product, select that subscription. Is it 1 month? Is it 2 months? How much product should I get? Walk through those steps. And then next you progress into the purchase. After selecting the product, you go to the cart page, go to the cart page. What do you see, visually see? Then after navigating to cart page, you go through checkout. And what is that checkout experience? You go to you enter your credit card details, you click confirm, boom, you get your first email. What is the messaging behind that as a customer? What does a customer think about that? Another good thing is what I'll do is, from a product perspective, from a SaaS thing, I'll set down other people, and you could do the same thing. Set your friends down, grab a stranger off the street, pay someone $10 to go through that and see what there is. There's also services online that go through this. And then, what is that order confirmation? Do they get an account set up? Again, walk through each of those journeys, those steps. And then delivery. The first delivery, do they receive any follow-up emails? What is the unboxing experience? They see that, that box on the store, on their porch front. What is that experience like? Is it a brown box or is it something that's flashy? Does it have your branding on it? Then they open it. What is that experience like? And then at the end is, kind of the subscription management component of it. How do they skip? If they're a coffee subscription, what if they need coffee earlier? What if they need it, delay it? Kind of walk through each of those steps, through those variables, hire other people, kind of at the core, again, experience the customer journey, step by step from your customer's perspective and multiple perspectives. So that's tip one, and one of my favorite ones. Tip number 2, talk to your customers. Call, email, Slack, message, do whatever, send smoke signals, whatever you can do. And also go see your product in their natural habitat. Watch your customers use it. Ask them questions. People are going to be doing things with their products that you never predicted, or finding value in your product that you didn't anticipate. And this will also change over time. So, not only, ask them certain questions like, how are you finding the product? Do they find it through Facebook, through Instagram, through blog posts, through friends? Are they telling their friends? Are they sharing it? Where do they put the product? Is the product front and center on their counter, in their bathroom counter, or in their garage, or, where are they placing that product? What is that experience? How are they experiencing it? Talk to them about their customer journey. You can easily get this information by just calling up. Customers add their email address, add their phone number to these forms. Don't be afraid. Just call them and say, hey, can I take 5 minutes of your thing? Or just say, hey, I appreciate you, ordering from us. I just want to get some of your feedback. And also do this throughout the customer journey. So try and contact customers, the ones that abandoned the cart. Hey, why did you abandon the cart? Maybe they just didn't know, they didn't have a question that needed to be answered. Contact them immediately after the purchase and see what that it's fresh in their mind. And then after they've received that package, first impression, after 2 days, 5 days, 1 month, 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, kind of any variables kind of give you that perspective. Are you lasting in their mind over a period of time? Talk to them, figure that out. And all this information is critical, both for the evolution of your product offerings, and your overall marketing strategy. What you might find out is there's not a big viral coefficient, so I need to figure out some packaging that causes people to put it on the countertop instead of underneath the sink or wherever the product might be placed. For talking with customers, here's a pro tip. And I was actually listening to a blog post, or I was listening to a podcast about a merchant that does millions of dollars in business. And they actually set up a chat widget on their storefront and checkout. And, they include it, and this is good practice, they include a picture of them or their team. And, people respond more to faces. It feels more genuine. Don't make it robotic, be your authentic self. But, as people are scrolling through your website, experiment with this. It's they've been on your website for, 10 seconds, message them and say, hey, can I answer any questions? 60 seconds, or, after they've seen a product, 1 product or 3 products, and then also during the checkout. Because, you want to just get in the mind of their customer, experience that journey. You're going to experience it, but also you want to see what information you can glean from that. So talk to your customers, call, email, add a chat widget. Number 3, collect and read cancellation reasons. First of all, before you start collecting it, set up and configure your cancellation reasons that match your business and give proper insight. Don't give a customer 20 options because that will overwhelm them. And it usually results in them just clicking something random or clicking other and then just gibberish. Generally, a good number is around 5 cancellation reasons with another option. And the other option make the text field required. After you've gathered enough, you might see trends that you're I'm getting a lot of others for this reason. So I'm going to maybe replace this cancellation reason because it's not used for this one that's other, and play with that because then you're gaining the insights. And so customize those cancellation reasons and collect that data. And then read those cancellation reasons. We have an export for your canceled subscriptions, and it provides the canceled subscriptions report. And you can read the cancellation reasons right there. And here's an extract from it. And analyze those cancellation reasons. Can you identify trends? Can you find solutions or mitigate figure out mitigation strategies? One example that I love that I learned about last year, and they actually presented at ChargeX 2019 last year. They analyzed their cancellation reasons, found many customers were canceling due to financial reasons. And so what they did was create a plan that was a lower tier. So I think their lowest tier of a subscription was like $25. And so they created a lower tier than that. That was like $15. And it wasn't available on the storefront. But when a customer went to cancel their subscription and they select an option for financial reasons, they're presented with that lower cost option. And they saw a significant decrease in churn, and therefore customer lifetime value. The customers maybe subscribed to that first higher tier plan, and then they kept on with a little bit lower tier plan. And then sometimes they went back to the higher tier plan afterwards. But, takeaway, read those cancellation reasons, figure out if you can gain insights, and then figure out strategies on, marketing or how you can retain them, etc. Tip number 4, know your metrics. The most successful e-commerce businesses make decisions based on metrics. They know the state of their store's performance at all times, and they know which levers to push to grow. And there are thousands of metrics you can track, but keeping it simple is generally the best. But only a few of them, in terms of metrics, only a few of them directly represent the state of your business and can be turned into actionable insights that can help you grow. Especially, this being 101, keep it to the basics, 4 or 5 metrics, and just set those as your North Star, and maybe just one metric, your North Star. And so the first one, conversion rate, quite simply, is the percentage of visitors who make a purchase. This is a metric you're worried about most and probably most frequently in the early days. Who's making that first purchase? And why I put it at the first of this list. It's getting expensive to acquire new customers. In the early days, it was very cheap and inexpensive to advertise on Facebook and Google, but now it's becoming more expensive. So you want to have a good conversion rate, to maximize your dollars spent on Google and Facebook and whatever other advertising. Generally, a fair conversion rate for e-commerce stores is between 1% and 5%. And most analytics tools will tell you your conversion rate. And you can find it manually by dividing the number of people who bought your product versus visitors to your website. And as you progress and you build, your business, there's micro conversions that you probably start analyzing. Those micro conversions throughout your site turn into the macro conversion, the purchase. And so, for example, a customer clicking on an image or clicking on a specific product category or navigating to X number of products will result. Those are micro conversions that could result in a macro conversion. And as you scale, you'll get more into the kind of the weeds, or you'll have a bigger team to dive into the weeds. Next metric, customer acquisition cost. Naturally, it costs something to acquire a new customer. So this value is called the customer acquisition cost. In order to make money, your order acquisition cost needs to be less than your customer lifetime value, ideally. Your acquisition costs should be less than your average order value, so you make money off every new customer. But one thing nice about being a subscription business is you can, depending on your business model, you can afford to lose money on the first sale because you're going to make it up in the reoccurring transactions. And customer acquisition cost is calculated by taking the cost associated with acquiring a customer, such as marketing and sales efforts, and then dividing by the number of total customers that actually were acquired or made a purchase on your site. Next up is average order value. Your average order value, quite simply, is the average value of each purchase. To discover yours, divide the total number of sales by the total spend. So naturally, you want customers to spend as much as possible, so you earn as much as possible. And some different drivers on how to drive up average order value is bundling a product. So instead of one product, you bundle two products, maybe provide a little bit of price discount. You can also upsell your customers with additional features. Like I was saying during the product announcements, you have customer portal now to add the new Novum theme built in, add this one time, or add in a subscription. Also, in the quick actions that George mentioned, another option is offering free shipping for higher purchases. So you'll frequently see that, free shipping above $35. Well, customers are trying to add products to get about get that free shipping, or above $60, whatever that may be. So average order value is a critical to understanding. That goes into a lot of these metrics: customer lifetime value, how you determine the not customer acquisition costs, but customer lifetime value, basically. Then customer lifetime value. Your customer lifetime value is a metric of the total you earn off a typical customer over the course of their life. So if your average order value is $30, go on, taking that average order value is $30. Say your average customer stays around for 4 subscriptions. That means the customer lifetime value is $120. 30 times 4, $120. And so knowing your customer lifetime value tells you how much you're going to spend to acquire that customer. So, what is your customer acquisition cost? If you're like, hey, this average customer lasts, 8 months or 8 deliveries. So therefore I can lose money on the first 2 transactions because most of them will stick around for 8 recurring transactions. Lastly is churn. And churn, is the rate at which percentage of customers who cancel their subscriptions over a set period of time. And understanding your churn metrics can provide you with valuable insights into customer satisfaction. And, really, to be blunt, churn can be expensive for your business. And think of it as a leaky bucket. You have a bucket, you have a pail, you're trying to fill in as many customers as possible, and that water, and churn is the holes in the bucket. And so you want to plug up those holes. You're always going to have some rate of churn, but you don't want big holes out of that bucket because you lose all your water. And sometimes, if you have high rates of churn, that is sometimes a compounding effect. And that compounding effect will grow and really be detrimental to the business. So keep an eye on all these metrics, churn, customer lifetime value, average order value, conversion rate, and your customer acquisition cost. Next up, collect data. I already talked about this, so I won't dive into it too much. But even if you aren't looking at the analytics, you're a little bit earlier stage, and you're hyper focused on saying, building out your product or your branding and things like that, start collecting early, because at some point you'll get there. And if you've collected it, you don't want to get to that point and say, oh, I wish I would have collected all that data the last, year or so. So start putting those, best practices in, start collecting that data, start implementing those UTM parameters, because when you get to that point, you're like, oh, I built out that data set for the last year and I'm good. I have time to do that. So start collecting data. Also collecting data in Google Analytics. Same thing is, you might not be looking at Google Analytics every day. It's a powerful tool, but at some point you're like, okay, I have free time, or maybe you hire an external party, a consultant or something, and you'll have those insights already, and then you can start analyzing it instead of being, backtracking. Tip number 7, create shareable experience and moments with your products. You want customers to talk about your products with friends. You want them to share it on social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, wherever. You also want your friends to get, you want your customers to get together with their friends and talk about it. One big example is unboxing experience. You'll see a lot of those. I mean, ideal is, your customers are so excited, they create unboxing videos on YouTube for you. and a couple examples how that have like personally impacted me on creating shareable moments in my journey, with subscribers. So athletic greens, I didn't know. I was just expecting a little bag of my athletic greens. And on that first delivery, I got this box. And actually, I looked on Twitter and boom, people are tweeting about it. And this is the exact box that I received. They've got a little container, creating that shareable moment. Now, anytime someone goes in my fridge, they see a big athletic greens container. It's not under the sink, not in the cupboard, but it's right there on the shelf. Also have my shaker bottle. And so it's, same things. Friends will use that shaker bottle for a water bottle when we go on a hike. Another example is Atlas Coffee. I get, every time I get a delivery from them, I get a little postcard talking about where the coffee's from. Oh, it's from Mexico. It's from this region. This is how they grow the beans. And, it becomes a talking point. I'm talking to my friends. Oh, I got this new coffee from Mexico. And it becomes that shareable moment. And, a negative. So those are two great examples. But here's an example that didn't do so well. I used to be a subscriber to a cigar company. And all it did is come in a plastic bag, nothing else. 4 or 5 cigars, plastic bag, nothing else. I didn't know the names of the cigars. I had nothing to talk about. So it was a shareable moment. I was passed the cigars out with my friends. I had nothing to talk about with them. They're like, oh, where'd you get these from? Oh, from a company. But they, I was like really diving into like, I want to know the cigars. I want to know where the leaves came from, maybe some background story. And some businesses, merchants do really well with this, like Pura Vida, who Ken talked about it earlier today. They talk about bracelets and, helping artisans around the world. I'm not a subscriber, but I know their story because I have friends that have done that, or, Ken mentioned that. Create that shareable moment. Next up is build the relationship. As subscription businesses, you're part of your customers' lives once they're subscribed. And customers are waiting in excitement, every month or every 3 weeks, or whatever your interval is to receive that package. And, relationships that last are going to be beneficial and, increase that customer lifetime value. And so you want to continually provide value, build that relationship, since they're part of your life. So some just best practices, I've seen is, get personal. So handwritten notes, especially in the early days, Christmas cards, pictures, send a picture of your team to the customers and make it personal. On social media. So if they're tweeting you or, Instagramming you or whatever that may be, tweet back at them, respond to every single comment, build that relationship. Also, delight your customers, surprise them, throw in a unique product or, hey, was thinking about you. And, thanks for your, you submitted a customer service ticket or anything like that. Was thinking about you today. Here's a free, one-time product or something like that. Delight your customers in many ways. Here's an example of a handwritten note that's pretty common. Also, go above and beyond. You're part of your life. You're a nutritional company. Send them nutritional facts. One great example with this is, and one of my favorite examples is Gary Vaynerchuk when he was running Wine Library TV. Very famous entrepreneur, big on social media. But what he did was, he grew his parents, his dad's wine business from $4 million to like 45 or 60 million. Numbers are a little bit different. But he did this by providing value to his customers. Predominant underlying factor was he went on YouTube and he was just doing wine reviews and teaching people. And he was just giving. And, wine sometimes can have kind of a snobbish, we're an era of, we're better than people or something like that. But what he did is he brought it to the masses and he was like, hey, this is how you do it. This, tastes like, he's quoted as he used to eat grass in his backyard. He's like, this one maybe tastes like grass. So, he was educating his customers, building a connection with them, building that relationship, and try and do that same exact thing because you're going to build customers for lifetime values. A lot of social media influencers do this. They give, build that relationship on a social media influencer, and then boom, they open their e-commerce site. They have swag. They start their own subscription business, and customers are like, oh, I love this guy. He provided me all this value. I want to buy his products. So they built that relationship. Next up, one-time products. I mentioned this, the power of one-time products and product announcements, and so I'm going to go over this quickly, and a great example is one-time products. Ipsy does this really well. Every time they have a monthly glam bag, and they have a simple thing that says, they get their email, hey, we're about to ship your product. Step 1, do you want to see what's in it? Step 2, pick your add-ons. And you just see, oh, $3. They have huge conversion rates. It's like $3, whatever, I'm going to do it. And you see, here's an example, here's a screenshot directly from their email. Shop our add-ons on, for your next thing, click, boom. So this is going to increase your average order value. This increase your customer lifetime value. So think about that. Last tip is understand and control usage. This is going to be applicable to some, but there's different ways to do this. And so I want to highlight for those people that do have kind of usage consumables is, one way. Smol does this really well. They have a very interactive quiz. Cat Person does this. And so here's an example of you going through Smol's quiz. Is how many capsules do you use for your laundry detergent? How many times a week are you running your washing machine? All right, perfect. Here's the formula for you should be receiving your package every so often. And so that's a way to understand this is their consumption of this product. Another way, that was kind of understand their consumption. Here's a way to control their consumption. This is Teach Hanley, that they give you a card that says you should, if you look down here, usage amounts. So they've kind of figured out how much does the bottle hold? This is what it's going to do, a little bit extra probably. I don't know their secret, but they're doing really phenomenally well. But see, they give you usage amounts. And so then you're like, I have this card right on my counter that is like spray it on. Okay, that looks about that same amount. And it just kind of works out month over month. So that is tip number 10. Quick resources. I'm about out of time. ReCharge blog. A few articles that I want to spotlight. How to use UTM parameters. How reducing customer churn impacts LTV and customer acquisition costs. Why investing in your customer portal can improve retention. Couple blogs. Lastly, how to stay up to date. Please navigate to the change log and subscribe to that. And I will try and answer your questions in chat now that I have a little bit of free time. Thank you very much, everyone. Hopefully this was super insightful. Quick 10 tips, very impactful. The merchants that are one person or 100 people, 200 people doing millions of dollars in business, these are all actionable items for them. Thank you very much, everyone.